Hey guys, welcome back to another full review by XOTIC PC. Today we're going to look at the MSI GT62VR Dominator Pro 027. Let's take a look at the specs. This has an Intel i7-6700 HQ processor. It has an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1060 with 6GB of video RAM. It comes with 16GB of DDR4 2400 MHz RAM, upgradable to 64GB total. For storage, it has 128GB M.2 and then a 1TB 7200 RPM storage drive. The screen is a 1920 by 1080p IPS screen with G-Sync. For Wi-Fi, it also comes with a 1435 Killer Bigfoot Wi-Fi card with Bluetooth 4.1. I'm going to go ahead and open up the laptop here, and we're going to take a look for any sort of bending or squeakiness or too much shaking in the screen. And this is a fairly stiff screen, very well put together, as just like the GT72 version. We're going to go ahead and do the cold boot startup test and see how long it takes to go from completely off to completely on. And once again, I like to stop it when the Windows 10 wheel stops spinning underneath the mouse. This should be pretty quick with that 128 M.2 in there. And I'm going to stop it right at about 15 seconds. For this next part, we go through the BIOS pretty quick. Go ahead and pause YouTube wherever you want so you can take a better look at some of the specs in there. Otherwise, if you want to skip this, go ahead by about 30 more seconds. Next up, we're going to take a look at some of the ports all the way around the computer. In the front, you have your LED status indicator lights. Going to the right side, you have your SD card reader, 3 USB 3.0 slots. Moving around to the back, you have your giant vents left and right for your CPU and GPU independently, as well as your LAN port, a USB 3.1 Type-C port, an HDMI port, mini display port, and your power connection. Moving to the right side, you have your Kingston lock and a single USB 2.0 port, as well as your microphone, headphone, and line in and line out jacks. And then flipping this laptop over, you have your giant large air intake on the bottom of it. We measured the sound levels while this computer was under benchmark, and we got some interesting numbers. At about right above that trackpad, we got about 45 decibels. About where you would sit, we got about 52 decibels, so it got louder the farther away you got from it from the front side of the computer. In the back, kind of bouncing off against the wall, we got about 46 decibels, and then 53 right up against that GPU vent. And then on the other side for the CPU vent, we got about 50 decibels. We busted out the trusty infrared heat gun again to measure some temperatures. And scanning over the palm rest, you can see that it gets a little warm, but nothing unbearable. The trackpad heats up a little more than the GT72 version, up to about 33 degrees Celsius. You can see a majority of your heat is going to come from the center of the keyboard, and you can see the vents and the fans on the top left and right corners, and that's where the heat should be exhausting at, and it is. And the keyboard actually stays quite a bit cooler than some other models we've tested in the past, running at about 33 to 37 degrees Celsius. Moving to the back of the computer, you can see the LCD screen does not get hot at all. That's about room temperature. It's a little warm up here. Moving down towards the bottom, you can see that left vent hitting about 45 degrees Celsius, and then scanning across the middle, you have your kind of your connections in the back. That's where some copper piping runs and your GPU sits, so those are going to run a little warm. And then on the right side, you get about 56 degrees Celsius, and that's your GPU exhaust right there. And since this is under stress testing, it makes sense. Taking a look at Valley benchmarks, we got 53.1 frames per second. And keep in mind, we are running Windows 10, and this has 6GB of video RAM. For the temperatures, we're hitting about 70 degrees Celsius during this benchmark. And you can see our G-Sync keeping the FPS at about 60 frames a second. Go ahead and pause here if you'd like to take a look at some of the CPU temps and some other various temperatures. Once again, MSI is using their Steel Series keyboard, and it's only getting better and better. This is stable all the way across and has no flex to it whatsoever, really. The backlight keyboard keeps getting brighter and brighter and more vivid colors, and I enjoy typing on it. It has a really good feel to it. Looking at the top right portion of the keyboard, you have your power on button, you have your SteelSeries engine hotkey, you then have on the left side a fan controller, and then if you push that button, this opens up your XSplit Gamecaster, which comes free with this computer for a 1-year premium trial. Before I open up the back of this laptop, I'd like to point out some things. The corners have a very weak area. They flex quite a bit if you put a lot of pressure on them, especially that middle vent area. So when you go to pick up this laptop, even though it's not very heavy, I recommend using 2 hands and then carrying it in that middle portion at the bottom, right, just like that. Where if you try to pick it up with 1 hand, you risk damaging those flexible areas just like this, and that puts a lot of pressure there. While it's a stable and light laptop, I would suggest using 2 hands. Going to go ahead and pop this lid off, and I've already done the screws. Take a look at the back of that inside vent. You can see that one post right there that's kind of keeping that thing in the air. First, in the bottom left, you have your M.2 solid state. You have 2 open DIMMs for RAM. And the top, buried under that heatsink, there's your Wi-Fi card. There's your CPU, followed by your GPU. This is your 230 watt battery, and this plastic bits just to keep those cables nice and tight. And then you have your 2.5 inch storage drive. And taking a closer look at this GPU, you can see that it is removable. However, I cannot tell you what kind of upgrades MSI will have in the future for it that will fit this heat pipe layout. If you'd like to find out more about this laptop and some of the upgrades we do to it, as most of the parts can be upgraded and it can be customized, go ahead and give us a call at 1-877-289-9684 or send an email to sales@exoticpc.com. We also have a live chat on our website, and go ahead and leave comments on Facebook and our social media, as well as this YouTube channel. I like to respond to all of them. All right, guys, my name's Seth. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.